Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Hey everybody, time to have a new Sunday hangout. Glad everybody's here. Got a few comments to go through real quick here. Let's catch up on the chat, see who all's here. Everything's Plastic Collectibles and Reviews. Says I'll be off in time for this one. All right, looking forward to it, man. Sham Bollocks there, Bjorn Jorgensen. Gojitron's not going to be able to join us today. He's got a, but I hope he'll catch the replay. Good afternoon, Susudio. Good to see you. Gap After Dark. Good to see you, my friend. And World Made of Cardboards here. Good to see you, sir. Jordan Jorgensen says, I just completed a first pass at a Doc Savage figure idea. Very good. I'd like to see that. And, of course, Jesse Hughes is here. Epic Badger. Good to see you here. And looks like all the usual folks are here. Let's see. We got our old friend Largo here with us as well. Your mic is now on, Largo. What's going on, my friend? Everything going on?
Hey, everybody. It's going swell. I'm just waiting for the swelling to go down. My neighbor decided today was the day to break out his chainsaw, so you might hear some trees being murdered in the background. But
oh wow, okay. Today we're going to talk about the retro figures that were released by Kenner here. I guess it was a couple of years ago, and now pretty much all of them are out. Big shout out to Big Nerdy over at Nerdzoic Toys. If you want to get a good deal on those, he's got some pretty good deals on those. You can get the whole collection for about $100. So I was missing one of the ghosts, and that was the Bug Eye Ghost, and I recently got that from Big Nerdy. So that completes my collection of the figures and ghosts. I actually picked up the Ecto-1 car at Walmart on clearance for a pretty decent price. So that worked out pretty good.
yeah, I kind of wish they'd made an Ecto-1 for the Plasma series that they put out a few years ago. They're great figures. They got good likenesses on them, but they never gave us the car. So yeah, I have them hanging out with my Monster Squad instead.
Yeah, I've got those the figures like you just showed. Weren't those released at Walmart there several years ago? But I guess right around the time of the female Ghostbuster movie.
Well, kind of, sort of. The ones that were Plasma series were Hasbro, and they came out kind of just before Afterlife, the newest film. Mattel did put out some, and that was a different series. And that was
I've got those. I've got the Mattel ones of all the 4 Ghostbusters, and they came with a sort of a build a figure where you can build the sign of the Ghostbusters with the little ghost inside of it.
Right. With Hasbro, they did the build a terror dog from the first film.
Okay. And Jesse says, as a child, he had Ray and Peter. I think I actually had Ray and Peter back in the day as well, but I was kind of a big boy at that time when I got them. I didn't get everything, and I just got those 2 figures, and that's all I had. Now, recently, when I say recently, I'm an older fellow, so I mean in the last about 3, 4, 5 years, I was able to acquire vintage figures. This was before these retro figures were released, and I have them all, but I don't know where they are put. I was going to have them on the show today to do a little bit of comparing, and we just can't find them. I don't know where they went. And I kind of want to open the Ecto One and put the stickers on it and everything. Maybe put it back in its box. And I was going to compare it with my Ecto One, but once again, I wasn't able to get them out in time for the show. So,
Fair
oh,
enough.
Dave's Dimension is here.
Mhm.
Hello, all my favorite subject. Yes, I know, Dave. You're a big Ghostbusters fan. I watch your show occasionally, and Dave has got like a full Ghostbuster cosplay costume that he's made for himself. He's a pretty cool dude.
Nice.
By the way, Dave, I've been meaning to shout you out for a while. You're one of the inspirations for me actually starting a live stream. I don't know if you remember, but it was sometime last year. You were doing a test stream, and I popped in there, and you just kind of gave me a little bit of encouragement, and that really meant a lot to me, man. I appreciate that.
Speaking of shout outs, I'd like to give a shout out to one of our friends in the interwebs, Brick Something. I've been checking some of his back catalog stuff. He's doing some really cool stuff on his show. Perhaps Bjorn or whatever other super wrenches could put a link there for him as well.
I appreciate that. Bjorn said he picked up an Egon from the thrift store, not even knowing who he was. Yeah, no problem, Dave. And as a matter of fact, if you guys could put a link to Dave's Dimension up, I would appreciate that as well. He's got a very cool channel over there, and he does a lot of cool charity work as well. So everybody check him out when you get a chance. Let's fire up the old toy cam here and see if we can get it going. Alrighty. There we go. Put a little light on the situation here and see if we can take a look at what I've got over here. Here are the figures that I have collected. We'll go through them one by one. I kind of don't want to take them off of their packages. I want to kind of leave these carded since I already have pretty much everything except for those two fearsome ghosts there in the front. Well, the four actually, counting the Green Ghost and Stay Puft back there. I never got
Mhm.
those in the day, and I don't have them now. I just have what I have here. Let's see what cardboard says. Some company several years ago made a retro cast of Stay Puft that was about 15 inches tall. I put him next to my Shogun Godzillas, and the fight between the two would be short. I would think so, yeah. Thanks, Bjorn. I appreciate you putting that link up to Dave's Dimension. Thank you so much, sir. All right. Let's look at each one of these one by one, and I'm going to start with Egon back here. So Egon Spangler comes with its proton pack with neutrino blaster, and it has a red beam coming out of it. You twist the bottom there, and it makes it kind of look like it's kind of moving around. And he comes with a yellow ghost, the Gulper ghost.
Now, before you delve into this, Bill, we should probably clarify for those who don't know or don't remember. There's a difference between the cartoon Ghostbusters and the live action Ghostbusters.
Very much so. As a matter of fact, it's implied that the cartoon Ghostbusters are who the movie Ghostbusters are based on in the cartoon.
Mhm.
One of the reasons why it was called Real Ghostbusters was because it turns out the Filmation had a Ghostbusters.
Right.
Been around a while, and they kind of
They're-
they kind of ended up having to come to an agreement with them about using the name Ghostbusters just to get the movie off the ground. And the Real Ghostbusters call them. They call that show the Real Ghostbusters to differentiate itself from Filmation, who decided to redo that Ghostbusters show, which was live action, into a cartoon show at about the same time.
Right. The Filmation Ghostbusters was kind of wacky. They had a big gorilla and a few other interesting characters.
Yeah,
Retro Blasting did a really good show about that. So you might check Retro Blasting's back catalog and look up Ghostbusters, and you'll find both of those, and they'll talk about those differences.
yes, and I think there were some figures that were released of the Filmation Ghostbusters as well. I don't have them. I never was very interested in that back in the day, and I still kind of am not.
Right. Now those toys are kind of rare because they weren't a big production run.
They
But
are.
the one most everybody knows and loves is these from the cartoon. So,
Yeah, that is correct. And of course, my friend, Everything's Plastic Collectibles and Reviews says I like to leave the retro carded figures on the cards. Well, anyway, going back here, we got Ray with his Gulper Ghost. Next, I'm going to bring up Winston Zeddemore with his Chomper Ghost. He has a yellow beam on his neutrino blaster. He comes with everything the other figures do, except he has the Chomper Ghost there in his package.
now did the original Kenners come with mini ghosts as well, or is that
They
something new?
did. They did.
Okay.
They came with that. As a matter of fact, they came with the exact same ghost that you see in the package here with these. However, the plastic that was used on these is a little more translucent and not quite as vivid as on the original figures.
More ghost like, though.
Yeah. So Winston here, and all of these figures are not actual repops of the original molds. These are remakes of the molds. So there's differences. The way the neutrino packs attached to their backs is different on these.
Okay.
The beam coming out of the neutrino blaster here is made of a more flexible plastic that's not nearly as brittle and prone to break.
Right. So it's an upgrade.
Pretty much an upgrade, yes. And moving right along, we'll come to Ray Stantz with his Rapper Ghost. And here
Yeah.
he is. And he has a kind of an orange beam coming out of his neutrino pack. Same deal. He's got his ghost in himself. That's what comes in the package. And we'll look on the back here at the cross cell that's on the back since we have him out. It's got our 3 ghosts. It's 4 Ghostbusters. It's got our 2 ghosts here, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Green Ghost. It's got a little bit of information on how to attach the proton pack and how to twist the handle to make the action zapping ray work and everything. So there we go.
Right. I agree with Dave's dimension. I like the fact that they did these remakes, but they should have given us the Firehouse.
That would have been nice. That would have been nice. But the line kind of came to an end kind of abruptly, in my opinion. I think they meant to go a little further with this, but they just didn't. I know that it was right around the lockdowns when the coof had hit, when these figures were hitting the stores, and I remember I had a pretty hard time finding them. We were having some issues, with distribution at the time,
Right.
and
All the ships coming from China were having a hard time finding port for a little while.
that's right. But anyway, yeah, I remember the finding the Green Ghost and Stay Puft was one of my big issues at the time after I had the 4 actual Ghostbuster figures found. And I actually found those 2 figures on the shelf. And then I found Fearsome Flush. And at the same time, the Bug Eye Ghost was there. And I didn't pick him up. And when I went back to get him, he's gone. So that it was good. It was good that I was able to find it over there at Nerdzoic Toys. And of course, here's Peter Venkman once again. He has his Grabber Ghost and a green beam coming out of his neutrino blaster, his proton pack. Pretty much just like all the rest, he has a ghost. He has his neutrino blaster, proton pack, and the figure himself. Same cross cell on the back. And the packaging looks almost exactly like the packaging from back in the day. Let's see. World Made of Cardboard says Hasbro would have made a Firehouse out of cardboard as a HasLab exclusive. Yeah, that would have been kind of neat.
It would have been spending.
See, Dave. Let's see what he's saying here. We got to the guys. I think lockdown played a little bit. I'm back.
And you're back.
All right, good. He says the lockdown played a little bit into it, but also the constant delays of Ghostbusters Afterlife. That maybe they thought there may not be enough interest, and he has a point there. That movie was kind of delayed. I know the action figures for that were kind of hard to find, and they didn't stay on the shelf for very long. It was very hard to find the figures of the children and such. So yeah,
Right. Blue Harvest says Vinkman was his first. You never forget your
okay,
first.
very cool.
Ghostbusters just wasn't the same without the original cast, especially Harold Ramis. Yeah, that's true.
This studio. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Yeah, I'm locking up. We're tortured by the YouTubes. We're tortured by our internet connections, basically.
Oh, I forgot about this. Johnny Sorensen brings up the fact that Playmobil did actually do a whole Ghostbuster set with the Ecto 1 and the Firehouse.
I'm impressed with Playmobil as far as vehicles and play sets go, but I'm not impressed with how their figures look. Their figures are kind of like Legos. They're just kind of generic looking, and I don't like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different aesthetic, but that's been their style for a very long time. So I understand they stick with it.
That's true. Next, we have a fearsome flush. Roll to open and close and reveal the fearsome ghost. And of course, he's got his lid reveals his mouth with a tongue flicking, and he's got little eyes coming up out of the tank in the back. Wheels on the bottom that control that action. And on the back is the cross cell that reveals that there is an Ecto 1 vehicle in this set. It shows the bug-eye ghost, the fearsome flush, and here's some little instructions on how to make fearsome flush work. Right. So,
Boba Hicks, if you hear something funky, it's probably my neighbor. He's got his chainsaw going, so apologies for that.
Yeah. Let's see. Which Blue Harvest said, need to ask Playmobil if they was in the firehouse, okay? And Dave's Dimension says, Playmobil did a great job on the Firehouse and the Ecto 1. And the Ecto 1, a tremendous vehicles and playsets. Get them if you can. Sometimes Amazon outlet retailers have deals. Okay.
Good to know.
And here's our friend, the Bug-Eye Ghost. You can see he's got a face here with some fearsome teeth and some little green eyes in there. And then he's got his big bug eye that pops out of his head with a string on it. And if we look back here on the back, we can see that you kind of whack him in the back and it makes his eye pop out. Now, not taking this one off the card, I can tell you that I already know that the original Bug-Eye Ghost action feature works a lot better than the one that's on this card here. And that reveals the last of the group here. We'll start with the Green Ghost, which is basically Slimer from the cartoon series. He comes with a looks like a steak, T-bone steak, a pizza, and some watermelon because he's always chomping up food and stuff on the show. He's got a tail like he kind of had in the show, which he didn't have in the movie. And on the back is the cross cell that's basically the same cross cell that's on the action figures. As far as ghosts go, the last one is our friend Stay Puft here, who's a lot smaller in this than he was in the TV show or in the movie. But he kind of works. Kind of cute there, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. He's got a little bit of articulation there in his arms and head, but none in his feet. And,
yeah, it was kind of a neat touch in the new Aftermath that they brought in the little mini Stay Puft fellas. Kind of like that.
Kind of cute. Let's look at what the chat's doing here. Susudio says that Fearsome Flush looks like her toilet. Okay. And my Smith's toy hunt video shows the Ecto 1 at 35 pounds. Okay. Sounds like Eduardo isn't happy with that chainsaw out there. And Blue Harvest says the real Ecto 1 landed in the UK to begin filming. Okay.
That's neat. Now, with the cartoon, there were some other Ecto vehicles. I don't know if they actually were in the actual cartoon itself, but they definitely showed up in the toy line. They had like a gyrocopter and a motorcycle.
Yeah, the Ecto 2, which is the one you're talking about, actually did show up in the first episode of the cartoon show. And there was a toy made of it. And I actually have that toy, vintage toy, in my collection back here in the rest of the junk room that's kind of inaccessible at the moment.
We'll just call that the Weird Fantastic Archives. How about that?
Yeah, there you go. And here is our Ecto 1 vehicle. And I'm kind of itching to take that one out of the package. Now I'll probably take it and put it back in the package later. But I have seen the Stay Puft stuffed figure. I think that's a vintage figure. They may have done a new one here recently. I don't know. You guys in the chat may know more. What's Johnny Sorensen saying? Chainsaw and roosters are natural enemies.
That's right. What was the name of that fellow that did the wildlife stuff on Letterman? Jack something. He worked at a zoo. He would always bring some creatures to terrify poor Dave.
I remember him. Whenever I think about a Jack, though, I think about Jack Perkins.
Mutual of Omaha. Wild Kingdom.
Absolutely. All right. Let's see if we can get this bad boy out of its packing here.
I think Eduardo is going to have a new manager for his rock band called Chainsaws and Roosters.
All right. The car comes right on out. It's wrapped up in this white baggie or wrapping, which I'm going to remove.
How environmentally conscious.
Absolutely.
Jack Hanna, that's right. That was the fellow on Letterman he'd always bring some critters in.
Always count on the chat. The chat will keep you straight.
That's true.
All right.
That's not a bad model.
I'm going to throw that plastic wrap there in the garbage. I'm going to keep this little piece of cardboard. And let's look down in here and see if we can find the rest of the accessories here.
We got stickers. Stickers are good. And this is definitely a cartoony version. It's kind of scrunched up compared to the movie version, but I like it.
Here's the instruction sheet.
So it's very, very reminiscent of what Kenner gave us back in the day.
Yep, and I think I've got everything that there is in the box out of the box now. So I've got something, little small sheet here with all kinds of different writing in different languages on it. Warning, choking hazard. Small parts may be generated. Okay. Not for children under 3 years. And on the back, there's some more information that I'm not going to read.
Johnny brings up a good point. There aren't enough seats in Ecto 1 for all 4 of the characters. So who's going to sit on the floor?
I don't know. I usually just shoved them in the bag. And here is the sticker sheet, and it has a crease in it, but that's okay. And here is our instruction booklet for the Ecto 1. It shows us the location of all the stickers that go on it. And it shows us where everything goes. There's a seat that goes on top, and we have the little grabber claw for the little ghost in the back. and kind of shows us how that operates. So,
Well,
uh,
considering a lot of toy vehicles these days are only one seaters, this is still a pretty good deal. You get at least two front seats and then the one that goes up on top.
yeah. So you got one figure has to ride in the back with the ghost claw. So not too bad, not too shabby really. Here's our little ghost here that comes with it for the grabber claw to grab. And here is the seat that goes on top with the two weapons on it, and it's got a seat belt to hold the figure in, and it's got a little piece that fits right there, and there it is, right up on top now.
Hmm.
And of course, here is the back.
So there's a sticker for the back window.
Yes, there is. Let's see if we can
Okay.
open this up. It's got a piece of tape holding it on, I think. So I need to get that loose. Let's see. There we go. So we can see the grabber claw back here in the back. We'll just put the old ghost back in here in the back with that claw.
Yeah, it's not made for our big mitts, is it?
No. So we've got to release this mechanism back here in the back, which I think the tailpipe does that. The tailpipe moves back and forth here to lock the mechanism and release it. So I want to pull the claw out for just a minute before I start putting those stickers on. See if we can get the claw to come loose.
Yeah, it looks like the string to reel it is connected underneath. Now, how do you reel that back in?
By moving the car.
Oh, so it's connected to the wheels. That's interesting.
So the car kind of, once you
You need
engage
to,
the mechanism here with the tailpipe,
okay, that's an interesting gimmick.
open this back up, and you can see the ghost is now captured in the back with the claw. And now I'm going to attempt to apply stickers. Looking at the sticker sheet, sticker number 1 and 2 go on the doors. So we'll start with the first sticker. I hear Eduardo.
He's around. Yeah, he's not happy with the chainsaw.
I would imagine not.
Yeah, my neighbor, in his infinite wisdom, decided about 6 o'clock this morning he was going to start cutting down trees. It's like, thanks,
Nice.
appreciate that on a
What
Sunday.
a, what a, what a good what a wonderful way to wake up in the morning to the sound of chainsaws.
Yeah. I'm guessing World made a cardboard that the Ghostbusters had some sort of special dispensation for their ghost chair zapper thingy. And Johnny's right. Mr. Bean didn't get in trouble when he was on top of his little car.
All right, and
Yeah, as a kid, I always hated putting the stickers on because getting them on right was not easy for little fingers.
absolutely not easy. Okay, so we got number 3 is the small ghost sticker that goes on the back of the car here. Let's see if I can line that up correctly.
Yeah.
I've done well so far, so I'm going to keep going here. There we
As the
go.
studio's wondering if the lights work. Do the lights work on it? I don't think they
No,
do.
no, the lights don't work. This takes no batteries. You have to pretend with the lights.
I imagine an ingenious customizer could find some LEDs to fit up in there. It's doable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, there we go. Not too
Yeah, it's
shabby.
kind of
Doing a
weird
pretty
not
good
having a
job so
back
far.
window. I guess in order
Huh?
to make the gimmick work, so it's kind of weird not having a back window, but for the gimmick to work, I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, and this is a pretend window here, so and I think on the Ecto 1A version of this vehicle that had even more stickers to add to it, it had a picture of Slimer here in the back, I believe.
Cute.
And now it's time to apply the tags. The rear tag says Ecto shabby.
Yeah, it's not
And
too realistic for a
finally, the
New York
front.
vehicle because there's no rust all over the bottom from the salt and the ice.
Right. Well, we got to remember now we're dealing with a cartoon show, and this is a vehicle from a cartoon show, so not a lot of
That's
reality
fair.
to be had there. So,
If you got one of those chrome painting pens, you could probably fancy up that grill if you wanted.
absolutely, there's a lot of customizing opportunities with these things.
Mm-hmm.
Here we
The
go.
more I see you tinker with this thing, the more I'm thinking I might want to go over and see if Big Nerdy's got any left. I might want to pick one of
I'm
these
sure
up.
he's got. I'm sure he does. Like I said, the best deal on there is the $100 deal. Although that comes with the toy neutrino one that a child could pretend with, but you could always sell that one away on eBay if you didn't want it.
Ooh, I could use that neutrino popper wand to torture the cat next door that keeps torturing my dog.
Absolutely. So that kind of a pretty easy sticker application there. So there goes the Ecto One vehicle, and I'm going to put it back in its package when I get through playing today.
Now, Susudio asks a good question. What was the original model? It was a Cadillac, but was it a 59? And was
I
it an
don't know if it was 50.
ambulance?
I think it was either an ambulance or a hearse, but I think it was an ambulance.
Right, because of
And
the siren and the lights. That would make sense.
right, and as a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, when he first drove up in the vehicle that they turned into the Ecto One, it looked like a coroner vehicle used
Right.
as
Yeah.
pickup bodies with, but they they redid the whole thing and turned it into a kind of a neat little vehicle to ride around in.
Right. Now, I'm not for sure, but I believe Dan Aykroyd was a real big fan of the car. I don't know if he ended up with that in his private collection or if he just kind of helped to curate it.
I don't know. I think you might be on to something there. It's something to research. Blue Harvest
Mhm.
is telling Susudio that she's absolutely right. What Moral Minded Cardboard says, I would take extreme care when putting on stickers towards the end of the line. G1 Transformers had stickers all over them. Yeah. And
Yeah. Some of those
Moral
stickers
Minded
did not
Cardboard
hold up to the test of time.
thought it was a hearse. Well, let's remember now, back in the day, Cadillac made a station wagon, but Cadillac station wagons were used for two purposes as hearse and as ambulances.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, the female Ghostbuster movie, they actually had a hearse in it that they used. But I think the vehicle that was used in the Ghostbusters movie was an ambulance.
I know not what you speak of because in my head canon, there was no female Ghostbusters movie. It does not
Very
exist.
very good. I'm going to look for a vintage Ecto One now. Okay, they are they're pretty pricey and they're hard to find in good shape. I know I've got a couple of them. One I turned into an Ecto 1A and one I turned into an Ecto 1. Uh, Pretty much had to rebuild them. I had to get two or three vehicles to make the two vehicles that I have out of them with the extra parts from the third vehicle.
Right.
And
Fortunately, a lot of those Kenners, especially ones that are in pieces parts, they're not too expensive to pick up second or third hand, are they?
they're not, and usually the white body is discolored yellow.
Hmm. Well, our friend Toy Paloy showed us how to fix that.
Yeah, there is a way to do that. I don't know how long it lasts for, and I haven't done it on any of mine. Uh, and Blue Harvest is telling you something about the movie you don't want to even hear about there. So
Yeah,
my
it
uncle,
was.
his earliest job as a professional woodcutter turner was making coffins. In those days, he had to travel and measure the person before building it. Yeah.
Hmm,
Going over to Blackpool this week for my birthday. There's some vintage shops there. Okay. Two Studio
cool.
says there were windows in the Ecto 1 in the original Ghostbusters. That's correct. There were windows, which made it not a hearse, but a ambulance.
Ambulance. Hmm.
And what is Bjorn saying here? I treat the female Ghostbusters movies like everything past T2 just don't exist. There you go.
Good man, Bjorn. I agree. Everything past T2
Everybody's
is
head
junk.
canon is different. Everybody's head canon is different. But there we go. And I think that car right there that we're looking at, it matches up pretty well with the original version. I think there are some subtle differences if you were to get the two side by side. But
Now,
that
in
that
the
should be.
cartoon, Bill, was there a reason why the Ecto One got turned into the Ecto One A? Did it get smashed by a ghost or something?
No, matter of fact, the cartoon never had it turn into the Ecto 1A. However, there was a comic book adaptation of Ghostbusters 2 that used the designs from the cartoon show and the artwork in it, and uh, they just upgraded the Ecto 1 into Ecto 1A.
Okay. Which one was the one that liked to
And
tinker with stuff? Because I remember Egon was the one that knew a lot of the lore, but he wasn't really the tech guy. That was more Ray, wasn't it?
well, Ray was more of a mechanic, yes, whereas
Hmm.
Egon was more of a nerd.
Right, with the spirit guide. What was it?
Tobin Spirit
Tomar's,
Guide,
Tobin's.
Tobin Spirit Guide. Blue Harvest says the female Ghostbusters movie is what Ray Stantz is dreaming about in the OG movie.
Ha!
Oh, was that when he was
He had
getting
an encounter with a
with
poltergeist. Yes.
a ghost? Yes. But that's a frightmare, says Johnny Sorensen. Says there were more than three Ghostbusters movies. They were all in the 80s, right? There were two Ghostbusters movies in the 80s. There was a movie that we've been kind of dancing around here a little bit that happened a few years ago, and then there was the movie that happened here recently that was basically the third Ghostbusters movie.
Right. And in between there was a very interesting video game that I believe Harold Ramis and the original director, was it Ryman? I can't remember his name. They were involved in the making of the video game, and it's almost a continuation of the original first two Ghostbusters films.
Reichman, is that his name? Reichman.
Reichman.
Yeah.
Yes, Reichman. Hmm.
Johnny Sorensen says there's just one film in his book. All right.
Well,
So
it's kind of
you
like Highlander. You know, Highlander is like there can be only one. So why do you need a second movie?
uh, even worse than that, why do you need a third movie?
Yeah, good point.
That one was horrible.
Yeah, I agree with Johnny. The game was really kind of the third movie unofficially
Yeah.
because the story in that
Yeah.
carried on.
And there was a cartoon show called The Extreme Ghostbusters. I never watched it. I've kind of read what kind of the deal was on it. It was an interesting premise. Basically, it was Egon Spangler with a new bunch of kids who become the new Ghostbusters. Basically,
Huh. I'll have
uh,
to check that out. I never saw that.
now one of the ideas I think that Dan Aykroyd is the one that kind of fostered this idea there for a while, and it's kind of where he wanted to go with that was the turning the Ghostbusters into a franchise, so
Hmm.
that there would be Ghostbusters stationed all over the United States, franchised out from the original Ghostbusters there in New York.
That would have been neat. Dan Aykroyd, as a person, is a man after our own heart because he is also a fan of the weird and fantastic.
And John's asking me something that it's kind of, oh yeah, the He-Man cameo, the reference in the second movie where the Ghostbusters had been relegated to uh, kid party performers doing birthday parties, and when they were in there doing the Ghostbuster dance to the Ghostbuster theme song, and then the kids were having none of it, and they wanted He-Man, and everybody
Yep.
was chanting He-Man.
Tough
Yeah,
to make a living.
absolutely. Well, I kind of wanted to kind of look at the vintage figures in my collection, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to get them out today because I couldn't find them, and I do apologize for that. But that kind of wraps up our Ghostbusters. We can cover anything anybody wants to cover now that we've gotten through that. So
Well, that's pretty interesting. Like I said, I hadn't planned on collecting those because they're not my scale that I enjoy. I prefer 1/12, but they look cool, and um, I want the car,
the
so I
car
might
is
just get
nice.
those.
The car's really nice. Now, you can't have the car without the four figures to go with it.
Exactly. Yeah, that was
And
that was kind of a
I think they will
goof.
make a great display. It will make a great display with the car and the four figures there.
Yeah, that was definitely a miss. I mean, they gave us the Ghostbusters in this scale and no car, so it's just like, really? So I might have to pick that set up just to have a completed set because the car is actually a character. It really is.
Pretty much. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Johnny Sorensen says the best part of the He-Man gag was that He-Man was dead on arrival that year. Still funny. And
Yeah.
remember the Extreme Ghostbusters? It's pretty good, made by the same company that made the Men in Black and the '98 Godzilla cartoons.
Okay.
The '98 Godzilla cartoon.
That was the iguana.
Oh, that wasn't Godzilla. That was Gino, the Gino cartoon show. That actually, that from what I understand, that wasn't a bad cartoon show. I didn't watch it, but it actually tried to pick up the pieces of that awful movie and make it into something a little better. But I mean, you can only do so much with something awful. Gap After Dark got the Ghostbusters Afterlight AMC popcorn car.
Neat.
What's Bobby Hicks saying here? Had the vintage fright features, Peter, still on the card. Picked it up from a toy store that was closing down back in 2005 and got it for $2. Not
Wow,
bad.
that's a great deal.
Yeah, a lot of people were fans of the fright feature figures. I never was. I don't think our buddy Grindhead Jim very much cared for them either.
No, they didn't look like anything from the cartoon. They were just kind of goofy.
Yeah. The Revell model of the Ecto One was good because it was probably about the most accurate thing in the world if you put it together correctly and painted it up right. Haslab Firehouse was with Ecto was as a stretch goal. Could be.
Don't give them ideas.
98 Godzilla movie. Ugh. Uh,
Ugh,
uh,
indeed.
Gino Godzilla in name only.
Hmm.
No Twizzlers on the modern Hasbro figs. Well, my Winston got one. Just sad cost cutting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The this series when they put them out, you have the neutrino one in the backpack, but only Winston came with the special effect of the stream. So go figure.
So in order to get special effects for all the rest of the figures, you had to buy what, four Winstons?
Either that, or they did come out with a glow in the dark variant of the group that was slimed, and they all came with the
Okay.
the streams. So they just wanted you to buy extra stuff, which I didn't.
Right.
I have a friend who's a 3D printer. He could probably make me something to work
I
with
bet
that.
he could. I bet he could. Bobby Hicks never had any of it then or now. And the re-release cartoon stuff missed Oz. Okay.
Hmm.
Too bad, man. Because these actually, if you never actually got the figures back in the day, but you really wanted to have them, this is one excellent and cheap way to get them, and to get them complete. Because finding these figures complete with completed rays coming out of their neutrino wands is almost next to impossible.
Yeah.
I had a hell of a time.
Unfortunately, yeah, some of the other markets like Australia and New Zealand, they have a heck of a time getting some of these toys. They just don't get the distribution.
and I think it's interesting. For instance, with the Masters of the Universe Origins figures, Malaysia seems to get everything first before anybody else does because they're right there near China. And I would
Mhm.
figure with Australia being close by or closer by than we are, that they would be getting some of that stuff there too. But maybe it's just not the case. Does it have to come here and then be shipped back over there? That seems like it would be kind of
Yeah, there were some oddball
wow.
offshoot toys for Ghostbusters as well, Bill. Do you remember? It wasn't too many years ago that Mattel did a crossover with their wrestling figures dressed up like Ghostbusters. Did you ever see those?
I'm aware of those. I never got any of them.
Yeah.
I I was looking around on the internet the other day and I saw something really neat. Some customizer had done a He-Man dressed as the Ghostbusters.
That's cute. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see him in the Origins line as a a little nod like they've done the Origin style wrestlers. Who
Hmm.
knows? Maybe there were plans, but the movie wasn't popular enough to carry all those extra toys. But yeah, there's been all kinds of weird Ghostbuster stuff that was kind of out in left field.
Bjorn says he has the Undertaker from that line that you're speaking of.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we may cut today's show short, folks, because internet issues keep bothering us. But as long as you guys want to chat a little bit, we'll stick around just a little while longer. Says I pay more for Origins than Masterverse. Wow, Johnny. We got
Mm,
5 waves ever in Oz, import or nothing. Wow.
ouch.
That is sad, man.
Yeah, I have a similar problem here where they just don't import that stuff. People don't buy it. So I have to get my stuff from friends in the States and have them pass it along.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good idea. If you want to replace the wire in your vintage figure with a bendable wire
Hmm.
and getting different colors from the electrical shops, yeah,
That's a good
that'd be a
idea.
good solution. Yeah. Uh, Now, speaking of origins, I know I've talked about my reservations about the future of this line, but recently, Toy Habits on Instagram had released something from the Mexican site that always comes up with the stuff first.
Hmm.
Had a picture of some of the future waves of the line, and it looks like that after this last wave that has been teased to us, that the next few figures are going to be exclusives.
Yeah, that's ominous. Yes, Bjorn, I did receive confirmation that the package you sent has left Florida and it's on its way somewhere between uh, Guatemala City and here. So it's in transit.
I wonder if it's going by plane or boat
I
or
think they
by
use
land.
airplane. No, they use airmail mostly. That's why it takes a while because they wait till they have a big enough shipment to send
I
everything on
got
the
you. Yeah,
plane.
yeah. Well, that's kind of the way they do with those cargo ships from China.
Hmm.
Until they fill the cargo container up, whatever you've bought from over there sits there waiting for that cargo container to fill up before it gets on its slow way over here on that ship.
That's true.
All right. I think that that's going to do it for today. I know it's been a short show today. We're at about 50 minutes, so not quite as long as normal, but maybe we'll do something better next time. But I really wanted to show off those vintage figures, but I think I've done that once before when I pulled the firehouse out. That's been a while back though. Let's see what Susudio says here real quick. Ecto One was a '59 ambulance according to Hot Cars, and was replaced with the Ecto 1A because the Ecto 1 stopped running. The Ecto 1 will be in the next movie. I know they
Huh.
used that Ecto 1 car in that last Ghostbusters movie, so it was pretty good. Thanks, Bjorn. And Woman in the Cardboard says, what Wonder Woman figure is that above your head? I think he's talking to you there, Argo.
This is from a very short-lived line called DC Icons, which was made by I think it's DC Direct was the name of the company before they went defunct.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cross between the modern take on Wonder Woman and the comic book. And
Actually, she
she's
looked like that for a period there in the comic books during the Rebirth era.
right, and so she fits really nicely with my import Superman, which was from the Mafex line. So she's just the right scale. So I'm slowly building my Super Friends slash Justice League in the Japanese import style because just neat figures.
Melvor got here just in time for the kind of the latter part of the show. Sorry about that, Melvor, but you can always watch the replay. Speaking of replays, folks, if you watch the replay, make sure you leave some comments. If you don't watch the replay, make sure you leave some comments. Go down in the comment section. Tell us something that you might want to see in either one of our collections on a future episode of Sunday Hangout, and we'll try to accommodate you. But unless you leave us some comments, we're left to guess.
You know, for our viewers who don't normally stay up late with us, do you want to show them a shameless plug for what we're doing on Saturdays?
Absolutely, be more than happy to do that. And I will show what we covered last time as well, so they might want to go back and watch the replay of that. So this is what
Yeah.
we're doing on late night with Bill and Largo on Saturday nights now.
So for any of you
So
cool cats that are night owls like us, join us on Saturday nights. The rest of you, catch the replay. It's going to be a lot of fun.
it is, and what we're doing is we're covering. We're starting with some pulp characters from back in the golden age, and we're also going to cover comic strip, adventure strip characters, and others that as we get to them. And I did notice that the comment section there is full of a lot of different comments. You might want to go through that if you haven't already as well, Largo. There
Hmm.
were some good ideas that I never even thought of coming up in that comment section. So.
Right.
Uh,
And we'll say again to our friends here, if you do have some ideas for future spotlights, put it in the regular comments, not in the live stream chat. And we'll
mhm.
take a look at those and whoever has the most popular votes, that'll be something we'll do on the next episode down the road.
Absolutely, and one of the characters that was brought up, was, of course, was the Shadow, and I absolutely he's on our list, so don't worry about that one. And this is what we covered on the last show last night. So if you guys didn't catch it, come back and check it out.
Yep. So
What
we
we
had a lot
did
of
last
fun.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talking
basically
about
what we
our,
did last night was compare and contrast what think people think of in pop culture with what was actually written by Burroughs in the novels, going into a little bit
Mhm.
more detail about those novels, trying to basically, in my opinion, kind of get you a little more interested in what was written so that you might want to check that out for yourself.
Well, it's kind of fun with pop culture. You think you know a character, but then when you look at the origins, you realize maybe some things are a little different. So next week we will cover Doc Savage. We're working on that right now. Week after that, it's going to be up to you guys. Whatever we find out in the comments is the most popular thing.
Absolutely. And yes, we're kind of making shout outs to some of the people who have helped us in the past and who may want to contribute to future episodes. If you find that one of the characters that we're going to be covering, such as Doc Savage, for next week, is something that would interest you, get in touch with me or Largo, and if you've got some information, we might get you on the show, especially if you're a big old expert on it.
Right. We are full of we're full of useless novel trivia and stuff, but there's always people smarter than us out there, and we're welcome to have them on.
I mean, what is it? A jack of all trades, but a master of none. We know a little bit about everything, but a whole lot about nothing.
Indeed.
All right, guys. Well, it was good having you guys here. We enjoyed today's show. We could have gone a little longer, but that's partly my fault, and I apologize for that. We might check out some more on a future episode.
What was it? P.T. Barnum said, "Always leave them wanting more."
Absolutely. Don't leave them wanting to leave. Leave them wanting to stay for some more. So thanks, guys, for showing up, and good journey.
Special thanks to these supporters on Patreon. Without your help, these adventures would not be possible. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's adventure, please hit like and subscribe and share the video.